Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and paint our weights for our face rig here, and we don't do this through the animation tab. It has to be done specifically through the face machine tool. This is because it's just the way that the rig is created, and as you can see, it's just gonna take a little bit of time to go ahead and paint the face mesh weights here. Um, this is where it gets a little bit complicated because we need to basically make sure that we aren't getting any weights on the body. We simply just want it on the face and nothing below, say, like the neck. And as you can see there, that's actually on the full influence. We need to paint where the full influence of the character's weights on the face are going to be here. And I'll just smooth them out on the body. And this is definitely where it's going to get a little bit tricky. So we need to basically go ahead and paint where we don't want it weighted. And then we can, adjust the big ones on the face in a little bit here, but for right now I'm just trying to go ahead and get these weights painted, at least for the most part, where I need them or where I want them. As you can see, it's going to take a lot of adjustment and a lot of just technical, troubleshooting. So I'm just selecting, the mesh and trying to find the joint that's the joint that I want to go ahead and paint here. I'm definitely going to have to, move in here to try and paint the weights properly. It just takes a little bit of time and adjustment to try and get it to be correct. But once you get up in it, I mean, it's really no problem. It just takes a little bit of tweaking. Like I said, this is just going to be meant for a little bit of added control on top of our rig, of which I'll use, blend shapes to create the initial animation for the emotions and for it to emote properly. But these controls are meant to be a little bit in terms of secondary control, just to give you that little bit of extra control for the rig. And you can see it just takes a little bit of time and a little bit of adjustment, and I'll go ahead and move it back here so that this is going to move properly, or try to get the teeth in the jaw to move properly. I mean, the tools itself from this from Anzovin Studios are definitely excellent. Extremely worth it in terms of the money if you're a rigger and an animator, or even just to pose your characters. I would say if you want to pose your characters and make sure that they're going to be posed properly, I would say grab it. It's definitely a great investment. Right now I'm just, gonna go ahead and get these parented properly to the rig, the teeth, so that it's gonna move correctly. As you can see, there you go. I'll definitely have to paint a little bit in terms of on the inside of the mouth, for sure. And a little bit looks like on the chin there. And this is where rigging is, just basically a time-consuming process, because it's just, you have to move this, and you have to adjust this, and you have to move this, and you have to adjust this. It just takes a little bit of time, a little bit of troubleshooting. I'm just trying to paint on the inside of the mouth here to make it move properly. The face is definitely a lot more complicated than, say, doing the body, because there's more detail in terms of the face. And there's a lot more focus on the face. This is definitely not my favorite part of actually rigging a character, because it is so, I don't want to say complex, it's just more time consuming. This is definitely where you really have to adjust the face to make sure that the weights are, correctly, are moving correctly, or are set up properly, so that the character's controls are going to, move the way that we want them to move. And so it's just a lot of adjustment, a lot of movement and tweaking, and trying to fix this and change this or adjust this and that. So even though this is just going to be used for, secondary control, I still want the control points to move the mesh, the way that I want it to move it. So it just takes a lot of adjustment and a lot of, tweaking and changing. And now I'm just gonna, do a little bit of adjustment on the upper lip and on the inside of the mouth here, and try to get it to where it's gonna be good enough for animation. This is just gonna take a lot of tweaking and adjusting. And as you can see there, it'll adjust on the stitch as well as I paint the weights, which is pretty nice. It's pretty interactive. And try to smooth it out here so that it's not going to basically rip its geometry to shreds. I'm not going to stretch the texture too much here, so I got to paint on the back of the neck too, which I'm not too sure how I went and painted on those. So I'm on the inside of the mesh here, painting those weights that are getting affected by the rig. And as you can see, I'm simply just, keep adjusting on the mouth here. It's just, tweaking and tweaking and tweaking until you can get it right. I'm just double checking all the controls here to make sure everything's, you know, moving properly and moving in the correct way. These eyes definitely have to get unparented from, you know, the eye control here, but I can do that in the next lesson, where we'll finalize our character rig. And I'm just going to make a control here for the eyes so that I can use an aim constraint to rotate the eyes as needed. And I'm just using a custom script that I wrote to actually make the eye controls. And you want to use your layer editor to hide things that you don't want the animators to touch. You want to make the overall rig very user friendly, because if the animator can't use the rig, then you know, you're definitely not doing your job properly. So it's just easier to make it so that the animator can use it properly. And I'm just using a script there to basically change the control colors, or the colors of the control, and make another rig controller that I can go ahead and parent all this stuff to for the eyes, which is the eye master control, which will control both of the eyes, or you can control them individually here. So go ahead and scale this up and try to get it in the right position here. Make sure, and it's very important you clear the history and freeze the transformations and center the pivot on the control. And this is so that you don't have any double transformations on that control whenever you go to actually animate the rig. And we'll go ahead and simply just combine them, or I'm sorry, separate them, and we'll make a group for them so that we can add an aim constraint on the on that group. It's important to go ahead and make sure you freeze the transformations and center the pivot on those as well. And it's definitely important to go ahead and keep your outliner organized so that you know what's what in there. Go ahead and make an aim constraint on the eyes here, so you can see it's gonna move whenever we go ahead and move the control. And we'll go ahead and select the right eye group here. Gotta make sure I rename that one so I know what's what, and make the other aim constraint. You have to have the maintain offset set so that it works properly. And as you can see, the eyes are gonna move there. And then in the next lesson, we'll go ahead and basically finish up the rig with all the eye controls, where we parent it to the mesh properly and double check everything to make sure it's working properly. Because as you can see there, the eye controls and the eyes aren't actually moving correctly, and I'll go ahead and fix that in the next lesson. And everything else for the moment is working properly, except for the eyes here, and I can go ahead and fix that in the next lesson. And that's just a parenting problem, and we can fix that.